Hey, what's going on, YouTube fam? Today I wanted to do a shoe review of the Jordan 4 Cements. And I have before you three pair of the Jordan 4 Cement. On my very left, as you can tell, this is the very recent retro, the 2016 Air Jordan 4 Cement. And it's the tag is Jordan 4 Retro OG, price at 220. Color is white, fire red, black, tech gray. So, interesting fact that uh, it is actually an OG color, tech gray. It's not a cement gray, which a lot of people have referred these shoes to as cement grays. And then the middle one is the Air Jordan cement. I think this one is also, yeah, this one is cement gray. And this one was from the 2012 version. And then on the very far right, this is the original Air Jordan 4 size 6Y. This is actually a GS size, and if you look at the color, it says white, tech gray, TCGY, black. Okay, so it is actually true to the original colorway, which a lot of people have thought that the when they used tech gray on the 2012, they thought that that was a very poor taste. And now actually, if you actually compare the two colors here, the tech gray and the cement gray, tech gray right here and cement gray, you can actually see that there is a difference. And the cement gray was actually not the OG color; it's actually tech gray. Okay, so that was an observation that I had when I picked up these shoes. When I picked up these yesterday, I was very fortunate enough to stop by a mall at the Finish Line, and they had two pair of the size 8.5, and I tried them on. I normally wear size 9, but I tried the 8.5, and it actually fits perfectly. And as you remember that the 2012 version, the size 9 that I got from my previous review, is actually a little bit too big. As you probably imagine, that the recent retro of the Jordans, they made it a little bit bigger. So a size 9 kind of feels like a 9.5 to me, and then a size 8.5 actually fits perfectly as a size 9. So just a little tidbit information for you. If you have already purchased your size, hopefully you guys were able to get your size. But if you are in the search for a good size, then I would recommend you go down half size, okay, to get your true to size fit. Anyways, let's go with the review. So, as you can tell right off the bat, the Nike Air logo was what drove people crazy this time around with the Air Jordan 4 Retro. For me, aesthetically, it was a little bit more pleasing than the 2012. And as I have mentioned in my previous video about the Jordan 4 Cement, I was really hyped about these shoes coming out, and I told you guys that my history about this shoe, that this is actually my very first pair of shoes when I was in junior high, and you can tell that these were literally just beat to the ground. So there's no chance for any type of restoration. You can tell that the the side of the shoe is already ripped, and it's crumbling, and so there's really no hope for restoration. And I just kept it just because this was my very first pair of Jordans that I got when I was in junior high. And then, as you can tell, I was actually a modifier, a young modifier. I took out the wing, and I actually cut out this part because I wanted to make it look a little bit more sleeker. And the Nike Air in the back, and the Nike logo and so forth. Anyways, so in comparison to the 2016 color, I think they actually do kind of match a little bit better. you know, this is obviously with age, but it is a little bit darker on the original. Just a shade darker, maybe a half shade darker of the gray or the tech gray, just a little shade darker. So, but you know what? I'm not really too concerned. I'm just really happy that, you know, the 2016 came out with the Nike Air brand logo, and then the color was much better than the 2012. So I was really happy with that. Okay. A lot of people also, you know, talked about, you know, face, you know, floating around in the market. You know, one thing that you can actually tell right off the bat if something is fake is that obviously I got these from Finish Line, and I can show you my receipt a little bit later. But first of all, if you look at closely, there was someone pointed out, and I actually did look at this as well. There was no speckle between the K and the E, which is I think it's just a factory mistake. You know, typically what they would do is they would speckle all this first, the tab, and then they would glue or put on the Nike swoosh and then the Air on there. But for some reason, it seemed like they actually put on the logo first, and then they put the speckles, because you can tell between the K and the E, there's no speckle in there. Okay, but on the website on Nike.com, when they had a close up of this Nike Air, you do see a speckle between the K and E. So I'm not sure what's really going on, but I guess this is one way you can tell whether something is authentic or fake, is that you know, if the fake shoes probably will have, you know, speckle between the K and the E. If not, then you would think that this would be authentic. Okay, a lot of the shoes, if you check your shoes out also as well, that you'll see that there's no speckle between K and E. The other thing that I noticed was that the inner lining of the shoe has a little bit of a blueprint to it. I don't know if you can kind of tell right there. Okay, where the leather is white, and then the inside has a little bit of a blue tint to it. Very much kind of like the maroon, or not the maroon, but the Jordan 6, the white blue ones that came out, where the center tab with the logo, Jordan Jumpman logo, the white pull tab here was a bit has a little bit of blue tint to it. So that's another thing you can tell that if something is authentic or not. Let me see. Obviously, the netting. You want to look at the netting as well. I see a lot of some of the or the, you know, the early releases or even the fake releases. The webbing here, the netting here is still going up and down, just like the 2012 version. Okay, so you can tell how the 2012 version, the netting is up and down, so it's not parallel to the wing here. Whereas if you look at the 2016, it is more parallel. Okay, so the lines are going diagonal like this, not straight up and down. Okay, that's another way you can tell. Let me see. But other than that, you know, the leather is much softer than the 2012. 2012 was just a really stiff leather that obviously, you know, if you own a pair, you would know exactly what I'm talking about. They just feel like boots, and you can tell that this one has more of a. You can even see the wrinkle on the leather. I don't know if you can pick that up, but you can right there. You can see the wrinkle on the leather. It kind of just show how you know, the grain of the leather, how soft it is. I'm not saying that this is very soft. I'm just saying it's softer than the 2012. And you can see 2012 was just like flat, and it's just, you know, it doesn't really crease that much either. And I don't know if that was the reason why Jordan Brand decided to use a stiffer leather for the 2012 to prevent creasing, but it just didn't, you know, didn't feel very good on feet. Obviously, the color of the sole is also different, as you can tell that the gray, the cement gray that they had used, you know, matched identical to the sole, bottom sole here, outlining of the shoes right here. Okay, and it's much darker. Okay, and versus the 2016, the gray is much lighter. Okay, and this is probably more true to the 2000. I mean the 1999, where this is a little bit brighter. I think the 99 might be even lighter, but this is probably matching a little bit closer to the original as well. You can't really see much of it anymore, but anyways. Let me see what else. Compared to the 2012 as well, that the let me see. Obviously, the shape of the shoe has improved to the 2016. And now you can, I think originally what I was really looking for too is that I'm looking for this heel bump here, and this one is not so much. And I know that some other shoes that I've seen where this part, the heel, is just basically a straight drop. It's very flat and there's no heel bump here. If you look at the 2016, there is a little bit of a heel bump here, so it's not a completely straight drop. But I am really hoping that it would be a little bit more prominent. Okay, so you can tell this one has just a little bit slight of a heel bump here as well. In terms of the speckle, I know some shoes had at least for the 2016, some shoes were just covered with speckles, and so much so that you can't even really see air. So the AIR in there. So this is one of my pairs that I got that had quite a bit of speckle on there. And then let me show you my other pair. And so I was able to cop 2 pair at Finish Line yesterday. And then if you look at this pair, this one is not as let me take away the 2012 and let me just kind of show you side-by-side comparison. So you can see the other pair that I got, the speckle is not that much. I think this one is a good amount of speckle versus this one is just everywhere. Okay, you can see that you can see how the letters AIR is very sort of blended in with the speckles, whereas here you can actually see a little bit more. Okay, so I'm actually very happy that I was able to cop 2 pair from Finish Line yesterday, as I was at the other mall on Saturday and Sunday. They're all sold out. So yesterday was President's Day. Walked into the mall, and lo and behold, they had 2 pair. And the guy told me that some guy had returned it because it was the wrong size. And then I inspected it. I was like, yeah, this looks fine. There's no wrinkles or anything like that. And I decided to buy it. The other thing to look for is on the 2016, a lot of people were noticing these blue color sort of pen marks. And I'm going to try to show you guys what I mean. Or if I can here. So if you can see right there, just above the midsole right here, there's a blue line. It is a mystery of why there's a blue line there, and I cannot right there. So you can see very clearly there's a blue line that's going from here to here, and then there's a little bit of blue line here to here. Okay, and then there's some right here as well. Okay. This is another way to tell if this is something, whether if it's original. Sorry to bust your bubbles, guys, but these flaws that the Jordan brand has, and after passing quality control, they're releasing these shoes with blue pen marks on them. So here you can also tell. You can also see there's blue mark right here, and then up here as well. Okay. So yeah, so really not sure why that's there, but it is you can't really miss it. The smell of the shoe is actually very strong as well. It's a very glue heavy smell on the shoe, and so I guess that's another way to tell something that's original if it has a very heavy shoe glue smell. In terms of the 2012 comparison, again, there's, other than the shape, the color, the leather, I think everything else is the same. The height of the tongue is also the same as well. Let me just kind of put these guys here. Actually, let me put this here so you guys would know which one is which. So, it I don't know. It kind of it's up to your judgment, but maybe slightly the 2016 has a little bit of a lower tongue than the 2012, which a lot of people were also kind of complaining about, was that the height of the tongue was really high, where people call it the shin guards. And so as you can tell, there is a slight height difference, not much, but so it is a little bit lower, which is better. And let me see, the netting is also remain the same. Yeah, the stars, people talked about the stars between the 2016 2012 is identical in terms of the prominence of the stars. Whereas if you look at the original, I know, yeah, I can probably still show you here. You can see there's stars here, right here, and the original was not very heavy in terms of the stars. And when I say heavy, meaning that it's not very prominent. It's not, it doesn't stick out like that. So you can tell there is some stars here, but it's not really sticking out. So I think it was meant just to keep it hidden, so to have that some sort of effect to it, but it wasn't very prominent. The Nike Air at the bottom of the shoe also is a good representation that the Jordan brand is sort of going. I know for the GS pair, the bottom sole would still have a Jumpman, while they have a Nike Air on the back, which is kind of interesting. But anyways, if you look at obviously the OG pair, had the Nike Air in the back and also Nike Air at the bottom, or Nike at the bottom. Okay, the color of the red and the pod under the sole, although this has been worn out already, I cannot really tell you exactly the colors would be identical. I would think so, if I remember correctly. If you look at the red on the Nike, I think that's supposed to match the red on the pod here. So if you kind of look at the red on the 2016 and the red on Nike, they match. So I'm imagining that the red was this color on the pod. So and think, let's do some comparison. It might be the same color red, so to make that pop. So that's something that that would be to also take into consideration. But if you look at the 2012 pair, it looks like the red is a little bit darker than the 2016. 2016 has a brighter red. It could be a, I don't want to say, I think this one might be a varsity red, and this one might be a fire red. Okay, so there is a little bit of a difference in terms of the color of the red. It's a little bit darker. Okay. Air bubbles. Let me see. The 2012 air bubble is actually, I think it's gray. I think it's actually gray in there. I cannot really. I think it's actually gray. Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell. But and then the 2016, I think it's also gray. It's sort of like a cement gray or tech gray, not white. I think the original was white. Oh, actually, yeah, I can't even see it now. This one's all beat, so you can't even see what's inside. Anyways, yeah. So I think the bubble air, the air cushion unit for the 2012 match the cement gray. Okay, and then the 2016, the air unit match the tech gray. So it's like a lighter gray. But I believe the original was white, or is this off-white? If you look at your 1999s, which I don't have, I think it's an off-white color. Okay. The last thing that I have an issue with about the shoe is, obviously I'm not going to be wearing this tag with the shoe, but why in the world would they include a Nike a Jumpman Air tag. Shouldn't it be a Nike Air tag? I mean, that just doesn't make any sense to me. I think the 1999s came with a Nike Air orange tag. But you know, we got this. It's like I just didn't understand. You know, you put Nike Air on the shoe, on the bottom of the sole, and then you give us this Jumpman tag. So it, you know, it just doesn't make sense. So, anyways, I'm not. This is the least of my concerns. I am not going to be wearing my shoes with this tag on anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Overall, my quality review, I would say I would out of 10, I would give this one a 8 out of 10. You know, in terms of the quality, in terms of the feel of the shoe, I would give it 8. In terms of quality and the look of the shoe, I would give this one an 8.5. I think it still kind of resembles a lot of the 2012 version. You know, obviously, if you look at the toe box, it's still not there yet. It's still very curvy. You know, it's not a slanted look. I would like to have more of a prominent bump here in the heel. Obviously, the leather, I wish it was a little bit softer. You know, compared to the 1999s. And also the height of the shoe. Let's do a comparison of the height of the shoe. I believe that the height is also the same as the 2012, and yeah, the height is pretty much dead on as 2012. So, and I know that the original or even the 99s, the height was a little bit higher on the shoe, around the collar area. So I wish for that. I wish for a higher shoe in that area. Now, for sentimental reasons. Now, if you know, my question to you all is, you know, if these were going to be re-released in 2020. It looks like they're gonna, you know, maybe perhaps release these every 4 years. Would you cop again? You know, if the shape was much better, meaning matching more like the original, or even 99 version. The color probably, you know, I don't mind the color. I think the color is fine. And the material used. If you know Jordan Brand jacks up to $250 for the next retro cement 4s. With Nike Air branding, would you cop, you know, in the next release, or would you be content with this? For me, I think I'm content with this. I think I am pretty much done with my collection at this point in terms of, you know, wanting to always get the Nike Air cement 4s, and you know, unless something comes out really special. You know, maybe a pack. I'm thinking, you know, Jordan has done packs before where maybe they'll do a, you know, OG, you know, Jordan 4 pack where they have the cement 4 and then the black red 4 as a pack, and you know, they sell that for $500. You know, I think that's something maybe worth getting. Although I am hearing that the Bred 4s are coming out with Nike Air as well. So. But yeah, you know, that's a question that I think everybody should think about, and perhaps ask yourself, you know, would you cop the next release of retros if they have improved on the shape, the color, and the material? And would you still cop even at a, you know, increase in the price of $250? I didn't do too much of a review of the OG. I just feel like it's a shoe that, you know, you can kind of see for itself that you know, the netting is obviously very prominent. It's much more thicker than the 2016 or even 2012. So the netting is very, very thick here. The tab, in terms of the shoe holes here, because of the GS size, there was only 5 holes here, whereas the 2012, you know, you have a roll of 9. I mean, you have a total of 9 holes, so roll of 3. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then same thing with the 2016. And if you also, you know, look very carefully at the bottom part of the tab, you can see that there's, you know, there's a little bit of triangle here on the base of the tab. And if you actually look at the 2000